Asterisk at my cousin's wedding. They humiliated me, laughed when I showed up alone, whispered behind champagne glasses, called me the lonely loser within earshot. My uncle even offered to pay for a dating app. But they didn't know what was coming. When my surprise guest stepped out of the limo, their jaws hit the floor, and I didn't even smile. My name's Wes. I'm 43, a mechanic from Brent, Nebraska, town where everyone knows everyone. And gossip spreads faster than a prairie fire in July. I don't usually go to family events, not because I don't like my family. I just don't belong. I'm the only one who didn't go to college, who didn't move to a big city, who didn't marry a nice church girl before 30. I fix engines. I don't own a Tesla. I drive a 90 for pickup. And apparently, that makes me the punchline in a family full of corporate consultants and dentists. So when my cousin Dane invited me to his wedding in Boulder City, I almost didn't go. But Mom begged me to show up, just to keep appearances. She even mailed me a tie. Big mistake. From the second I stepped onto the hotel patio where the rehearsal dinner was being held, I felt it. That shift in atmosphere. Heads turned, eyebrows raised, snickers. One of the groomsmen looked me up and down and whispered to his fiancée. He came alone. I didn't need to hear more. Aunt Linda gave me a hug like I was some war veteran just back from losing a limb. Then she hit me with, "Still no one special, sweetie, you know. We were starting to think you were, well, choosy." The way she said it made my stomach churn. Uncle Barry patted my back like I was his dog and offered me a subscription to a matchmaking site. "First 3 months on me," he chuckled. "You're what, pushing 45 now?" I forced a smile. I stood alone during the toasts. No one saved me a seat. At one point, a waiter asked if I was staff. No joke. I spent the rest of the night nursing a warm gin and tonic by the pool, pretending I had urgent texts to answer. Then, I made a decision. If they wanted to play dirty, I could too. The next morning, I called in a favor. See, last year I helped out a regular client, Jade. She's a traveling event manager who works with celebrities. Her car broke down in the middle of nowhere, and I stayed up all night fixing it. Didn't charge her a cent. She swore she'd return the favor someday. That someday had just arrived. She laughed when I told her my idea. Not because it was dumb, because she loved it. "Wes, you want drama? I'll give you drama." Day of the wedding arrived. I didn't show up early like the rest of the family. I made sure to be late enough for a dramatic entrance but not rude enough to miss the ceremony. Everyone was seated. The musicians were warming up. My uncle was scanning the parking lot like a bouncer. Then, the limo pulled up. I stepped out first in my tailored charcoal suit. I felt like James Bond if Bond had grease under his fingernails and a cracked molar. Then Jade stepped out. Red silk gown, diamond earrings. That walk, the crowd turned, mouths open, eyes widened. Dane's best man dropped his glass, and Linda's face turned 3 shades of confused. Jade took my arm like we'd been dating for years. "Thanks for bringing me," she whispered, loud enough for Linda to hear. We walked to our seats like royalty. Jade made sure to kiss me on the cheek just as a few phones flashed out suddenly. No one remembered I came alone to the rehearsal dinner. After the ceremony, people rushed to talk to me. "How long have you two been together? She's gorgeous. What does she do? Where did you meet?" I gave vague answers. Let them stew. Jade played along like a pro. Dropped little hints that she models sometimes, that we met at an event in Manhattan, that she loved how humble Wes is. Uncle Barry choked on his shrimp cocktail. At the reception, Aunt Linda pulled me aside. "Wes, she's amazing. We had no idea." I shrugged. "Guess you guys just don't know me that well." Then came the toast. And the moment where the bride's father, my uncle, called on all the young couples in the room to come up and share a dance. Jade took my hand, led me to the dance floor, and we glided across like we were born for it. Cameras flashed. I heard someone say, "Is she a celebrity?" Someone else whispered, "I think he's rich and just hides it." Jade winked at me. "Having fun yet?" I grinned. I could get used to this. But I knew this night wasn't just about revenge. It was about taking back dignity. About showing people that just because someone doesn't wear a Rolex or brag about stock options, doesn't mean they're nobody. You ever had a moment where people judged you too early and then got hit with the truth too late? Because I promise you, that was just the beginning. Asterisk. The wedding reception rolled on, but the mood had completely shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't the lonely mechanic. I was the mystery man. Jade stayed by my side, smiling at everyone like she'd known them forever. She toasted with champagne, complimented the bride's dress, and laughed at Uncle Barry's awful jokes like she was on a talk show. The rumor mill kicked into high gear. I caught whispers. "He must have money. No way a woman like that is with someone like him. He always was quiet. Maybe he owns, like, 5 auto shops or something. Maybe she's an actress undercover. My cousin Stephanie actually leaned over during dessert and asked, "So, how did you land her?" I just smiled and said, "Right place, right time." Our jaw tightened. Let me be clear, I didn't do this to impress them. I did it to level the playing field. For once, I wanted them to feel what I always felt: out of place, underestimated, judged. And boy, did they feel it. After dinner, Jade and I slipped outside to get some air. The mountain view was beautiful, but the real scenery, the shocked faces inside as people watched us from the windows. She lit a clove cigarette and raised an eyebrow. "So, how long do I keep playing the girlfriend?" "As long as you're enjoying it," I said. "I haven't had this much fun since I faked being engaged to a country singer in Nashville. So, carry on, cowboy." We both laughed. Then she really looked at me. "You don't actually care what they think of you, do you?" I paused. That hit harder than I expected. Did I? I told her about growing up in that family. How every report card I brought home was compared to someone else's. How no matter what I fixed, built, or saved, it was never as impressive as a promotion or a published paper. How they always said things like, "That's great for someone like you." Jade nodded slowly. "Sounds exhausting." It was, still is. She leaned against the stone wall. "You know you're not the problem." "Right, sometimes I wonder." "Well, stop, you're good, real good. And tonight," she smirked, "tonight, you won." Then the weirdest thing happened. The bride came out. Dane's new wife, Meredith, walked straight up to me in her heels and designer veil. She looked upset. "I need to ask you something." I straightened. "Sure." She glanced toward the window. "Did you do this to embarrass them?" I didn't lie. "I did this so they'd stop embarrassing me." She nodded slowly, biting her lip. "Well, it worked. I didn't mean to ruin your day." "You didn't," she said. "You just made everyone see what jerks they've been." That threw me. I saw how they treated you at the rehearsal dinner. I tried to shut it down, but they just laughed. "I'm sorry." Meredith may have married into the family, but in that moment, she wasn't one of them. She was just another person who'd been bullied by the same crowd. "You don't owe me an apology," I said. She shook her head. "Maybe not, but they do." Back inside, the DJ kicked off the last set. Couples danced. My uncle stumbled through a tipsy speech about family values. And for once, no one mocked me. Then Dane made a toast to my cousin Wes, who reminded us all tonight that dignity doesn't come from money, or college degrees, or wearing a tailored suit, though he does look damn good in one. Everyone laughed. I felt my throat tighten. Then he added, "You've always been real, Wes. I should have stood up for you more." "That's on me." Silence fell for a second. Then came the applause. Actual applause. For me. Jade squeezed my hand. "If you cry, I'm gonna cry. And this makeup cost me $80. I laughed. But the truth, I was close. Because for once, I felt seen. We left the reception late. Jade changed into sneakers and ditched the earrings. We sat on the hood of my pickup under a sky full of stars. "You ever wonder what it'd be like?" I asked. "If they just accepted you for who you were from the start." She looked at me. "Honestly, I think they're just afraid of people who don't play by their rules." "Think they'll ever change?" She shrugged. "Doesn't matter. You changed. That's enough." Here's the kicker. The next morning, I got a text from my mom. "Heard about your girlfriend. Don't let this go to your head. They'll forget by next week." That was it. "No, you looked great. No, I'm proud of you." Just the same old tone. And for the first time in my life, I didn't care, because I'd finally realized something. I'm not the one who needs to change. They are. But let me ask you this. If your own family kept tearing you down, would you walk away forever? Or would you keep trying to earn their respect? Asterisk, asterisk. The next few days were weird. Really weird. You know that awkward tension after an earthquake, where everyone's pretending the ground isn't still shaking. That was my family. Passive-aggressive texts. Polite silence in the family group chat. Nobody mentioned Jade, but I knew they were talking behind the scenes, especially my mom. She called 3 days later with a classic line. "So, he was she really? You can be honest with me." I could have dodged, but I told her the truth. "Just a friend, a favor." Silence. Then, a sigh so loud it could have sucked the wallpaper off my kitchen wall. "So, it was all fake?" "No," I said firmly. "It was real enough to expose how they treat me." She didn't like that answer. "Wes, you humiliated your uncle. Do you want to cause drama?" I snapped. "No, Mom. I wanted to be treated like a human being, not a defective microwave." She hung up without saying goodbye. That weekend, I went back to work like nothing happened. Oil changes, brake pads, tire rotations. Nobody in town mentioned the wedding. Life moved on. But something inside me had shifted. It's hard to explain, but it was like I stopped apologizing for existing. Before, I'd always tried to shrink around my family, wear neutral colors, stay quiet, pretend I didn't hear the jokes. Now, I held my head higher, looked people in the eye, didn't second guess my voice. Funny how one night can entangle a whole lifetime of knots. Then dash out of nowhere I got an email from Meredith, the bride. Subject line, you might want to see this. It was a link to a Facebook post. Someone had uploaded a wedding highlight video. And guess what the thumbnail was? Me and Jade. Dancing, smiling, lit up like a scene from a movie. The post had over 19,000 views. The comments were wild. Who's the mystery woman in red? That couple stole the show. Is that a celebrity? She looks like someone from The Bachelor. I laughed out loud. Not because I was proud, but because for the first time ever I was the one everyone was talking about. And they weren't mocking me. They were curious, envious, respectful. And that's when it hit me. Respect doesn't come from status. It comes from self-respect. A week later, Jade called. Hey, Romeo. You see that video? I did. You went viral. She laughed. Told you red was my color. Then she got serious. Listen, I got another favor to ask. She wanted me to fly out to LA for an event she was hosting. Said she needed someone real to help backstage. Offered to cover the flight, hotel, everything. At first, I hesitated. That world wasn't mine. Glamorous parties, celebrities, flashing lights. But then I remembered that feeling, that confidence, that freedom. So I said yes. 2 days later, I stepped off the plane into a city that didn't know me and didn't judge me. Jade met me at the terminal in sunglasses and a hoodie. We hugged like old friends. No pretense, no game. At the event, I worked the floor like a natural. Fixed a busted mic, helped an lister find her lost earring, even got asked if I was security twice. By the end of the night, Jade pulled me aside. You ever think about leaving Nebraska? I blinked. What? And give up all those family barbecues and passive-aggressive texts? She grinned. Exactly. Later that night, lying in a fancy hotel bed I didn't pay for, I stared at the ceiling and asked myself the question that had been building all month. What was keeping me in Brent? Not love, not opportunity. Just obligation. The next morning, I made a decision. I wasn't going back. Not forever. I didn't text my mom. Didn't post a dramatic goodbye. I just stayed, worked odd jobs with Jade's crew, made connections, fixed things. People respected me because I showed up, not because of my resume. And one day, as I was tuning sound equipment for a live show, someone walked up behind me and said, "Hey, aren't you the guy from that wedding video?" I smiled. Yeah, that's me. So now I'm living in a tiny apartment in East Hollywood, fixing gear and working events. I still wear flannel, still drive an old truck. But I've got something I never had before: peace. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll stay here forever, maybe not. But I do know this: sometimes you have to let go of where you came from to become who you really are. But what about you? If life gave you one moment to rewrite how the world sees you, would you take it, or would you walk away quietly? Asterisk. 3 months passed. No messages from my family. No how are you? No where are you? Not even a passive-aggressive meme in the group chat. At first, it stung. Like I'd been erased. Like I was never really part of them in the first place. But over time, that silence felt like freedom. I woke up each day without walking on eggshells. No more worrying about being too blue-collar, too single, too behind. I wasn't behind anyone. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And ironically, that's when my phone finally rang. It was my cousin Dane. "Wes, hey. Weird question. Are you still seeing that girl from the wedding?" I laughed. "You mean Jade?" Yeah. Is she single?" I nearly dropped my wrench. "Dane, you just got married." Double quote silence. Then, "Don't tell Meredith," I asked. I hung up on him. Turns out, the wedding video had gone viral. A gossip site did a write-up about the mysterious mechanic and the woman in red. Some influencer tried to duet it with a fake story about us being undercover millionaires. Jade loved it. ID and single quotes because suddenly, people weren't just asking who she was, they were asking who I was. And not in a good way. They dug through my social media, found my shop sold Facebook page. Even messaged my ex, Rebecca, asking if I'd ever been on reality TV. And that's when Rebecca texted me for the first time in 2 years. "Wes, what is this madness? Did you become a celebrity while I was gone?" I stared at the screen. Rebecca was my one serious relationship. We were together for 5 years. She left me after I turned down a job in Kansas City, said I was too comfortable living small. Now she was curious. I didn't respond. Meanwhile, Jade's world was spinning faster than ever. TV offers, red carpet invites, a contract for her own event series. She asked me to be part of it, head of logistics. Said she needed someone who could fix anything with duct tape and sarcasm. It sounded like a dream, but something felt off. Not with her, with me. I wasn't built for selfies and spotlights. I missed grease stains, missed country radio, missed doing something real. Then one night, during an event at a rooftop bar in Santa Monica, it all came to a head. Jade was working the room like a storm, laughing, toasting, charming. I stood by the soundboard, staring out at the ocean. And that's when Rebecca walked in. I blinked, thought I was hallucinating. She walked right up to me. Same blonde waves, same piercing eyes. "Hey, stranger, what are you doing here? Your cousin Dane told me where to find you." Yes, he's not great at keeping secrets. Didn't say anything. She looked around. "This is a lot, yeah. Welcome to my accidental second life." She laughed, then asked the question I knew was coming. "Are you happy, Wes?" I froze. Was I? Later that night, Jade found me on the balcony. "You okay?" I nodded. Rebecca showed up. Jade didn't flinch, just leaned on the railing. "You want to go back to that life?" "No," I said. Then paused. "But I don't know if this one's mine either." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I brought you here to help me. I didn't expect you to lose yourself in it." "I haven't lost myself," I whispered. "I think I just misplaced who I really am." She nodded. "I get it." The next day, I packed a duffel bag, not because I was quitting, because I needed clarity. Jade didn't fight it. She gave me a hug and said, "Go find what makes you feel right. Then come back and own it." And I left. I drove for 2 days. Back roads, gas station coffee, no GPS, just instinct. Ended up in a little town called Harwich. Population, maybe 800. No Wi-Fi, just trees, hills, and silence. I stayed at a roadside motel run by an old couple named Tom and Bernice. They let me fix their water heater for a discount. Invited me to dinner. Listened like I mattered. No pretense. No judgment. Just kindness. And that's when it hit me, maybe the people who really matter are the ones who ask nothing of you but your presence. One morning, Tom handed me a flyer. "Local mechanics retiring. Place is yours if you want to rent it." I stared at it. An old wooden shop. 2 bays. A hand-painted sign that read "Fix IT Fast." I hadn't felt something click like that in years. That night, I called Jade. Took me 1,400 miles and a stranger's lasagna, but I think I found where I belong. She laughed. "I'll miss you. I'll visit." "I know. And hey, thanks for reminding me I deserve more." Her voice cracked. "No, Wes. You reminded me." So I stayed, took over the shop, grew a little business, fixed things, helped people, laughed, slept like a baby. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't proving anything to anyone, but I'll leave you with this: what matters more, how people see you, or how you see yourself? *. 6 months passed. I fixed more trucks in Harwich than I had in the last 3 years back home. Folks paid fair. Kids waved when I drove by. I even started teaching a local teen how to work on engines. His name was Elijah. Bright kid, little rough around the edges, but smart where it counts. No one cared that I'd once gone viral. No one asked about Jade, LA, or the wedding video, and I liked it that way. I wasn't running. I'd arrived. Then, out of nowhere, a letter came in the mail. Not a bill, not spam. A handwritten envelope from my mother. I stood there on the porch, turning it over like it might explode. Inside 3 lines. "Your Uncle Barry passed. Funeral is Saturday. I thought you'd want to know. No, hope you're well. No, we miss you. No, come home." Just cold, stiff facts, and it hit me in a way I didn't expect. I wasn't sad. Not really. Barry had never been kind to me. Not once. But I felt hollow. Not for his passing. For what it confirmed. They still didn't see me as family. I paced. For hours. Did I go? Did I show up and risk being treated like an outsider all over again? Or did I let it go and stay where I was finally seen? That night, I told Tom and Bernice about the letter. Tom said, "Sometimes showing up isn't for them. It's for you." And Bernice, with that soft, motherly voice, added, "Just don't let bitterness write your whole story." I barely slept. Saturday morning, I put on a black shirt, dusted off my boots, and got in the truck, not to forgive anyone, not to prove anything, but to look the past in the eye and not flinch. The church was exactly how I remembered: stiff pews, tired hymns, faces that judged like mirrors with bad lighting. When I walked in, heads turned, mouths whispered. My mother looked at me like I was a ghost. She didn't smile. But she did nod. I took that as a victory. I sat in the very back, alone, until someone sat beside me. It was Meredith, the bride. "You really came?" she whispered. I nodded. She leaned in. "They've been talking about you, nonstop. Can't Decide if you're a legend or a scandal. I smirked. Good. Let him wonder. After the service, I slipped out before the reception. Didn't need more fake condolences or double-edged compliments. But as I was walking to my truck, someone called out, "Wait," it was Dane. He jogged over, looking winded, like he hadn't run in years. "Hey, Nan, thanks for coming." I gave a short nod. Didn't come for him, just needed to see it for myself. He looked down. "Yeah, I get that." Then he pulled something from his jacket pocket. A photo. It was me and Jade on the dance floor. From the wedding video. Someone had printed and framed it. "Why do you have this?" I asked. He shrugged. "It's the only photo where everyone looked happy." I didn't know what to say. Then Dane surprised me again. "Listen, I know we haven't always been close, but I want to fix that. If you'll let me." I wanted to say no, wanted to walk away, but something in his voice felt real. So I said, "Try proving it first." Back in Harwich, I felt lighter, not because anything had changed, but because I'd stared down the ghosts of the past and didn't let them shrink me. A week later, something strange happened. Rebecca showed up in Harwich at my shop. She stood by the front counter like she'd never left. Same perfume, same nervous smile. "I heard you bought a place," she said. "Word travels fast. Small towns do that." We stood there for a moment in awkward silence. Then she said, "I made a mistake, Wes." I didn't blink. "Yeah, I know." She looked down. "You found a life without me. I just wanted to see it for myself." I nodded slowly. "Well, here it is." She didn't ask to stay, didn't beg. Just turned around, walked to her car, and drove off. And as she pulled away, I felt nothing. No pain. No regret. Just peace. That night, I stood outside the shop and watched the stars. Same stars as always, but they looked different now. Not because they changed, because I had. So let me ask you this. If you had the chance to walk back into your past, not to stay, but to close the door properly, would you take it, or leave it shut forever? Asterisk. Spring rolled in quietly. Business was steady. The air smelled like oil and pine trees. Birds sang over the hum of my socket wrench. Harwich had that rare kind of silence that wasn't lonely, it was earned. I stopped waking up tense. Stopped checking my phone for drama. Stopped wondering what my family was saying, because for once in my life, they didn't matter. Then one Sunday morning, I opened the shop early. Elijah, my teenage apprentice, showed up late. He was pale, quiet, avoiding eye contact. "You okay?" I asked. He didn't answer. Just handed me his phone. On the screen was a blurry picture from his school. A few boys had shoved him into a locker. The caption, "Little Wes Jr. thinks he's better than us now." My blood turned cold. Why would they call you that? He looked down. I told them I wanted to be like you, own a shop, build something. And they mocked him for it. I felt that old heat rise in my chest, that familiar mix of anger and shame. But this time, I didn't swallow it. I looked him straight in the eye. "Elijah, you know what they're really mad about?" He shook his head. "They're mad that you know who you are. And they don't." He blinked. "But they're the popular ones." "Exactly. That's all they have. Popularity doesn't mean identity. It means fitting in." He sat down slowly, thinking about it. Then whispered, "I don't want to fit in. I want to matter." I smiled. "You already do." That night, I realized something. All those years I'd spent chasing validation, trying to get my family to see me, trying to measure up to some imaginary version of success. It was never about them. It was about me not believing I mattered until someone else said I did. And now, I didn't need that permission. I was enough. 2 weeks later, I got another letter. Same handwriting as before, but this time, it was longer. "Wes, I watched the wedding video again. You looked happy. I'm sorry I never told you that. I don't always say things right. Maybe I never will. But I'm proud of you. Love, Mom." I read it twice. 3 times. Then I folded it and placed it in my toolbox, not because I needed to treasure it, but because it had arrived too late to matter. I didn't write back, but I also didn't tear it up. Some doors don't need to be slammed shut, just gently locked. Then, out of the blue, Jade called. She was in Chicago running a massive stadium event. Said she missed my sarcasm. Asked if I'd fly out, help with gear, maybe grab a drink after. I thought about it. About the limo. The red dress, the stairs, the illusion, but also the friendship, the honesty, the escape hatch she gave me when I needed it most. I said yes. 3 days later, I walked into a backstage loading dock and saw Jade in ripped jeans, arguing with a sound guy over speaker wattage. She turned, saw me, and broke into a grin. "Wes." We hugged. No show this time. No act. Just 2 old souls who once flipped the script on an entire room and learned who they really were in the aftermath. After the event, We sat on a rooftop with greasy takeout and cheap beers. She looked at me and said, "So happy?" I nodded. "Finally." "Still the same, Wes," I grinned. "Just cleaner hands and better boots." She laughed. "Good. The world needs more guys like you." When I got back to Harwich, Elijah had repainted the garage sign without asking me. It now said, "Fix ITFAST Wes NCO." The NCO made me smile, because it wasn't about me anymore. It was about legacy. A month later, the wedding video hit 2 million views. Some influencer reposted it with a fake voiceover. This woman left the red carpet to be with the man who fixed her flat tire. True love still exists. We laughed about it over breakfast burritos, but I didn't correct them. Not because the story was real, but because the truth was better. You see, I didn't get revenge. I didn't prove I was better. Just stop letting people tell me I was less. That's the real victory. Not the limo. Not the girl in red. Not the shocked faces or whispered apologies. But the quiet peace that comes when you finally say, "I'm done shrinking." So here's my last question to you. When the world tries to define your worth based on what you lack, will you let them? Or will you choose to define it yourself and live like you already matter? The end asterisk.
That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought? Or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.